When shopping for car insurance, consider this. Geico has been saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years. So if you're serious about savings, it's simple. Go to geico.com. After 75 years, they know how to save you money.
Don't forget to use that Amazon banner at jmohr.com. That's how you can help me the most. jmohr.com. Hit the Amazon banner. Buy whatever you want. Then email me what you bought, and I'll read it right here. Well, not right here, because I'm doing something else right now, but in other episodes. jmohr.com. New look, jmohr.com. Use the Amazon banner. Okay. Are you cool? I'm cool if you're cool. All right. All right, I said. All right, start the episode.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game change.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man.
Mohr Stories podcast. Adam Carrolla.
Yeah.
Adam, Lakers. Los Angeles Lakers?
No, I'm Clippers now.
No, don't say
Golden
that.
State. I'm Golden State.
How about the Clippers, Adam Carrolla? They ship Matt Barnes. You might not know this. I'm here for your sports needs.
Please.
Matt Barnes and somebody else got traded, I forget who the other guy is, to the Charlotte Hornets for Lance Stevenson, the guy that blew in LeBron's ear.
Oh, really? That guy, yeah.
DeAndre Jordan and Chris Paul already don't get along. And my friend Dan Byer said, why not just bring in, like, Puck from the real world to play point guard? Like, bring in Omarosa. Just bring in people that just to ruin shit for everybody else.
I miss Puck, number one. Number two, you brought up DeAndre Wilder, who's now
great fighter,
a heavyweight champion. I mean, he's not going to beat a Klitschko just yet, probably, but
Klitschko gets pretty gassed, man.
He's young, and he's rangy, and he's probably 6'6", 6'7", and he has the kind of body that could hold another 30 pounds of muscle if he ever decided. But it was one of these things where I was watching the fight, and he's fighting just some guy like Chris Arreola or something like that, guy. Like, it's such a weird thing. Like, you know, Mexican heavyweights, you never see one, and when you do, they're just fat. Like, Chris
Arreola is a big fat guy, yeah.
Well, what I'm saying
his last name is Areola.
I know.
It's like, hey, Jeff Clitoris, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, it's Dusty Labia. So the thing is this.
He's an old fighter.
It's weird that, first off, like, let's just admit there's some genetic situations here. Like,
yes, Jimmy the Greek got fired for this.
Like Cain Velasquez, who was the heavyweight MMA fighter who held the crown the last couple of years, got beat by Verdum.
Beat soundly. Jesus.
Third round, choked out. But here's the deal. Known for his cardio, known for his conditioning, known to gas other heavyweights in a 5-round
relentless
fight.
Pace.
Relentless. Still has a little punch.
Doughy.
Still has a little around the gut.
Yeah.
And when you see the brothers up there, there's just no hips. It just keeps going down into the shorts. And so Wilder is up against this guy named Molina. And the reason I pulled it up on the screen, and you guys can hear it on Jay's podcast, is I love it when the announcer, whether it's baseball going on,
10-7 round. Wilder really beat the shit out of him, huh?
When the announcer's going, this guy's had a drought or whatever, and then, home run, you know. Listen to the announcer basically explaining that Molina is creating a lot of doubters because Molina's kind of a journeyman. And Wilder, who's supposed to be the next up-and-coming thing in the heavyweight division, if he can't take the pudgy Mexican guy out in 12 rounds or under 12 rounds, really, he's making some doubters. So just listen to the announcer and then listen to what happens.
But he gave the last round to Molina. There is no question Deontay Wilder's winning this fight. None at all. But Eric Molina's hanging in there, and Deontay Wilder is giving people a chance to say, well, you're not really handling this. Oh, good shot. Like there's a great shot, and he goes down. You're not.
He did not.
And he's out.
He's out.
He's like, good night, sleep time.
The point is the announcer wasn't done finishing his thought about you're creating doubters. You're not able to get the guy out of there. And
my favorite one that happened was when Foreman fought Michael Mohr. Mm-hmm. Larry Merchant went on this long rant. Jim, they say that George Foreman's jab is like the big boom, and it would take a realignment of planets like the big boom in order for George Foreman to win this fight. Mohr is down! Mohr is down! Like, they literally just screamed on top of Larry Merchant.
It's best when Jim Lampley's screaming it next to him because you know he's tuned it out.
Jim Lampley, by the way, talks like that all the time. If you call his answering machine, he says, Jim Lampley, 310. Adam, Jim Lampley calling. Hope you are well. Give me a call back whenever you can.
Who's made the Gotti list this week, Jim?
He talks like that.
Gaddy. It's Gaddy. G-A-T-T-I. Arturo Gaddy.
Who died?
Or was killed.
We'll see. Listen to these commercials real fast. Are you worried about having bad breath? You don't have to worry anymore, my friends, because there's a product called TheraBreath. TheraBreath will make sure nobody ever says, hey, that guy's got bad breath behind your back. It won't happen. I use TheraBreath. The mouthwash does not burn your mouth. It's vegan, vegetarian, kosher, safe for diabetics, and free of all artificial flavors and colors. TheraBreath is an oral care company that wants to make sure nobody ever says after you walk away, her breath stinks. Doesn't have to happen that way. You don't. TheraBreath also has the best lozenges that I've ever used. They're so slippery, I can barely keep them in my mouth. They're like all over the place. The TheraBreath lozenges are great, and TheraBreath toothpaste is so cool. I'm telling you, minty cool. Mild as well. Some toothpaste hurts my teeth and gums. TheraBreath does not. TheraBreath mouthwash, TheraBreath lozenges, TheraBreath toothpaste. They got everything you need. TheraBreath. Don't have bad breath. Have TheraBreath. Does driving matter to you? There are over 4 million miles of road in the U.S. to find out. That's a lot of ground to cover. A lot of highways, freeways, wrong ways, long ways. They're all there waiting to be driven on. So do you take that left turn at Albuquerque or just keep going? Do you wake up early Sunday morning for a drive before the traffic does? Or do you take the long, winding road home for a change? If driving matters to you, just get out and drive. Why? Because driving matters. Mazda. You heard me. Mazda.
Last night, Cheryl Loggy made her status. Any moms out there know a good stroller for twins? Help! It got 10 likes and 8 comments. Geico also has a comment, Cheryl. While we don't know which stroller you should go with, we do know that in as little as 15 minutes, you could save hundreds of dollars on your car insurance just by switching to Geico. And with that money, you can buy the swankiest of rides for your tiny duo to cruise around in. Right on down to Potty Train in town. Hashtag twins. Hashtag savings.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Adam Carrolla, your book, Daddy Stop Talking, is out. And now, by my math, and now I barely got out of high school.
Me too.
I got 4 books in 5 years on Adam Carrolla land.
Yes.
What the fuck are you doing? You're making everybody look like a bunch of lazy slobs.
I realized a couple of things philosophically. I wasted a huge chunk of my life. I was just thinking about it today, like all the fucking hanging out and spinning of wheels and nonsense I did from age 18 to like 31. Like literally just picking up garbage, digging holes, standing around job sites, mixing stucco, like just nothing, just mule work. And then the weekends would come around and it'd be like one of my friends would be like, hey, I'm putting a lift kit on my truck. Can you help me? And then I'd spend 9 hours in the guy's garage just standing there helping him saw off the rivets that were holding on some suspension component or something. And I realized I've wasted so much time doing nothing that at a certain point, when I realized, oh my God, I have a voice, I have a sense of humor, I have an opinion. And then people want to pay me to hear my sense of humor and my voice because I was always stifled. It was always like, be quiet, you're a nuisance, you're a distraction. Who cares? No one wants to know what you have to say. Be quiet. Go to that place and go clean. I mean, my job was going into the Sizzler after it closed at 11 p.m. and alone cleaning the carpets or the Hamburger Hamlet or the Pizza Hut. And then when I was done cleaning the greasy carpets and it'd be 4 a.m., I'd take the keys, I'd lock the place up because the manager would give me the keys, and I'd throw the keys through the mail slot so they went inboard a little bit. And then I'd drive the van back to Van Nuys, drop it off at like 4:30, 5 a.m. Then I'd ride my motorcycle home where I was living in my dad's garage, and I'd sit there and just watch whatever was on TV, and most of it was just like the Indian pattern with the sound thing on there. And I'd just sit there some rerun of a Doris Day movie until like 8 a.m., and then I'd fall asleep and do the same thing over again the next day. And at some point when I realized you can write books, you can do stand-up, you can do podcasts, you can make movies, you can do TV shows, I just went, oh, fuck, I got to make hay while the sun shines because I got to make up for all the wasted time.
Don't you get tired? I understand you wasted a good portion of your life, doing menial labor. Mm-hmm. But at some point you go, I got kids, I got a wife, I'd rather be on the couch scratching my nuts watching television. This is like too much work.
I would.
Don't you get tired?
Well, I do.
Are you one of these guys, I'll sleep when I'm dead? It's like, no, actually you won't because you'll be dead.
No,
Stupid.
No, my point is
I did a 360 turn, man. Fucking
turn my thought around 360 degrees.
Man, I used to think that blacks were lazy. I turned around 360 degrees, bro. They're cool. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
My point is,
don't you get tired?
I'm taking a nap. I'm not taking any chances on the sleeping you dead. Now, here's what I first off, I love sleep. I love taking a nap. Like, I'm a nap guy. I just today had to film my TV show all day and then had to come do my podcast. And now I'm hanging with you, who was gracious enough to do my podcast. I'm going to return the favor. So no nap for Adam today. But what I realize is this. If I'm going to be sitting in my car driving home from Orange, California, which is 57 miles from the studio, and they cut me loose at 4:45 or 5 in the evening, I'm going to be sitting in my car for 90 minutes. And if I'm going to be sitting, if I could take a nap, I would take a nap. But I have to drive myself back from Orange, California to Glendale to do a podcast. Right. And my thinking is, in that time period, if I had a guy on my Bluetooth who I was working on a book with, who could be reading me chapters and telling me the stuff I said and capturing the stuff I say on the podcast and putting it into a cohesive narrative and then reading it back to me, and I could actually be listening to it and correcting and fixing and tweaking.
So you're working as you drive.
That 90 minutes wouldn't be a waste of my time.
No, quite the opposite. It's the most productive rush hour 90 minutes on Earth.
Right. And then what happens is...
I didn't know there was like another guy in the equation.
Oh, yeah. And then when I
just picture you with like a typewriter, like Mad Men style.
No,
Zing.
I wish.
Take this downstairs to the copy go.
No, I when I'm driving from, I did a show in Spokane and then drove to, I don't know, Seattle to do a show, and in the car the whole time, I got
Beautiful
the guy
drive.
sitting in the back, beautiful.
Amazing.
Guy in the back seat, and he's reading the book out loud, and I'm like making corrections and
you need a chauffeur.
Whatever.
You could nap and work at the same time.
I think Mike August was reading the book, and I was driving, actually, and he was riding shotgun.
And Mike started nibbling the binder. The binding.
He got
that would have been funnier. That would have been funnier if I got it right.
Don't be hard on yourself.
That would have been. Then Mike August started nibbling the binding. So you got two ings.
Don't ever be hard on yourself.
Adam Carrolla, the
he
book
likes free food.
Is Daddy Stop Talking. Now, you have two children.
Mm-hmm.
I have two children. My 4-year-old is just got potty trained, and people don't realize. Did your daughter get potty trained way faster than your son?
Yes.
All right. So I guess it's just universal that boys are just kind of... I say in my stand-up all the time, like, just boys are dumb. Like, really, like, my sons will come downstairs and go,
Daddy, can we watch TV? And I'll go, we don't have a TV. And they just turn around and go, oh, okay.
Right.
Like I'm watching TV. When I tell them, they think it's like a magic window and wolf blitzers out in the courtyard.
Right.
But you can't like do that with a girl. She'll be like, first of all, I know we have a TV. I was with you and you bought it.
Yeah.
And you didn't get the extended warranty because you were in a hurry.
Yeah.
And they'll say like innocuous things, but somehow you were in a hurry. And you're like, I wasn't in a hurry. Why does that make me feel bad? All she said is I was in a hurry.
Yeah. The funniest, my daughter is smarter than my son in a sort of cunning way.
Yes.
Like, she'll work the right against the left, and she'll, like, come into the bedroom and go, can we get some froyo? Mom said it was a good idea. And I'm like, she said it was a good idea? Yeah, she said it was a good idea. Well, I guess if she thinks it's a good idea. And then later on, it's like, she never asked me if I could get froyo. My son would never think to do that. She also does a move that's like vaudevillian, but it's funny because she'll be standing in the kitchen, and Olga, the nanny, who's Guatemalan, I know she sounds like hot and Swedish, but she's Guatemalan, will say, Natalia, go get your brother and tell him it's time for dinner. And she'll go, okay. Sonny, it's time for, like a foot and a half away from where Olga's standing, to scream at the top of her lungs for Sonny to come eat
Something's never
dinner.
changed. Like our parents used to say that to us. If I wanted to yell, I could have yelled myself.
Right. Could have done it myself. So she is smart, and she's in your grill, and she's ready to manipulate. And Sonny is chillax, and I always say, like, she's like, where are we going? What's going on? She's planning the next outing, like, we're going to eat.
Well, little girls will, like, plan your funeral and, like, do seating arrangements. Like, I'm going to sit them next to each other because I know they don't get along.
Right. She's literally, we're driving to dinner.
They're like little geniuses.
And she's like, can we get froyo? And I'm like, let us eat dinner first. We're going to a nice restaurant. But I want froyo. I want froyo after that. And I'm like, okay, stop thinking she'd be a great chess player, like five moves ahead. But I always say this. And so people go, we have twins, boy and a girl. So what's it like? And I go, my daughter's like raising 3 kids. That's the energy it takes to raise her. And my son is like raising 1 old cat. That's as much energy as it takes. And it's funny too because the daughter, it's also funny too because women are wired. This is why I'm sort of not counting on Hillary Clinton being the first female president. Like they're wired to go at each other. Like at a certain point, it's a lot of girls, we got to band together and ladies' night out and all that stuff, but at a certain point, they'll fucking tear each other apart.
You watch the Real Housewives of New Jersey, or New York City, you just see them like rats in a barrel pulling each other down.
Yeah, every single time. Like
boys, if you have like 4 boys, and it really is, I know it's like the difference between men and women is like a hack thing, but when you have kids, it is a little fascinating because you have this little social experiment in your home. Like boys, you'll agree with me on this, because since you just explained Sonny as an old cat.
Yes.
And not like a jazz musician, an actual meow shit in a box, comb it over cat.
You don't even know when he's awake and when he's asleep. He gets up in the morning, he quietly walks in the next room, he turns on the TV set,
he
sits
this
down,
guy.
Oh my God. I mean, he calls me father, he kisses me on the lips. I mean, he's just the nicest.
Really?
Yes.
Father.
He's like the easiest, sweetest, whatever. Like,
my son, I'll say, get out of the bathtub and put on your pajamas. And then I'll get halfway down the hallway and realize, I didn't tell him to dry his body.
Right.
And I got to run back
Yeah.
Before it's too late, but it's too late. He's just got this little soaking wet 4-year-old carcass in Lightning McQueen pajamas.
Yeah.
He's got 2 legs and 1 leg hole.
Mm-hmm.
The spare's over here. He starts chasing that around, and at one point you really always, at sometimes as a parent, just want to go, are you fucking dumb? But you can't, because that would be abuse, and you promised yourself you'd be a better father than the one you had.
First off, simply by getting up and going to work, I beat every Corolla that ever came before me. And speaking of Lightning McQueen, did you know that Paul Newman's last role on this planet was that of an old race car? The voice of Doc Hudson in Cars.
I did not realize. Of course, now as soon as you said Paul Newman's last role in Lightning McQueen, you actually said it all.
His last role was an old race car, and
I think that would make him happy. And you got the documentary Winning. Racing Life of Paul Newman.
Yes.
Look, I worked with Lloyd Bridges in the movie Mafia, and he was far too old to be doing much of anything, let alone acting.
Sea Hunt.
It was not Sea Hunt style. No. It was he could there's dialogue to remember. And they had big giant cue cards and stuff. And it was like really kind of
Mafia.
It was a fun movie, and it was really like sad.
Those Zucker brothers, right?
Just Jim Abrams.
Just the Abrams.
He cut them loose.
Those Zuckers.
So watching Lloyd Bridges struggle with like this idiotic, goofy, hit somebody over the head with a frying pan dialogue.
Right.
You know, he's such a proud man.
Right.
And watching him like, I don't understand cocaine. It doesn't taste good. You can't put it on cereal. Like, just weird lines. And he's like struggling for that. Yeah. And then he dies, and you're like, oh, man, he probably had an Oscar in him. Like, if somebody caught. So I'm glad that Paul Newman went out with the voice.
Well,
in Cars,
not only
he's
that,
a race car driver.
In the movie, John Lasseter, who heads up Pixar, was basically forced his way into this documentary. Like, we were about done with it. And John Lasseter, who runs the joint, Pixar, is a huge, huge racing fanatic and a Paul Newman fanatic. And he's like, I need to be in your documentary. And we're kind of like, thanks, but we're pretty good. We got Robert Redford and a bunch of other cool guys in it. And we got the story told Tom. We have Tom.
Winning Racing Life of Paul Newman. Go get it.
Yeah,
everybody.
we have Arthur Newman, Paul Newman's older brother, talking about his young brother growing up in Shaker Heights outside of Cleveland. Jesus. Blah blah blah. So we're like John, Mr. Lasseter, like, thanks, but we're cool. And he's like, I'll fly the crew out.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's the head of Pixar too. You want to be in his graces.
I'll supply my own makeup artists and lighting and everything.
You're going to wind up in a Pixar movie if you make this guy happy. That's how I would look at it.
We went and did it. Turned out to be one of the most fascinating parts of the movie because he was explaining that when Doc Hudson, Paul Newman was coaching them up on the dialogue. Like, there's that part where he says, if you find yourself turning hard enough left or going hard enough left, you'll be turning right, like the dirt track racers do when he's trying to teach them how to slide in the dirt, basically. And Newman at age like 81 or 82 is like going, no, you don't just turn left and go right. You pitch it, you break it loose, you drive it with the throttle. Like, he's literally, those are his words. He's explaining to the nerds that write cars, like, hey, you don't just turn the wheel, you'll go that direction. You got to get it loose.
Right.
And then it's all in the movie. His description of how you drive on dirt. So he drove some midgets on dirt tracks and stuff like that. So
midget cars you're talking
midget
about.
Midget cars. You'd be cruel
take
if he
Brad
just rode
Williams
midget.
out into the Inland Empire.
Get underneath me, boy. I'm taking you for a lap around this track.
So, where do people get this movie, Adam?
Then go to iTunes, then go to Amazon, then go to VOD or wherever they want to go.
Winning. The Racing Life of Paul Newman. Paul Newman, fascinating guy. Now, I remember being on the Adam Carrolla podcast, which you should all subscribe to and get the app. And get the app to this podcast, Mohr Stories. There's a free app. It's free.
Yes.
We provide you with free stuff. We're good guys.
Why not partake of the
I remember about a year, maybe it might have even been 2 years ago. It was a winter night, I remember, because it was pitch dark when I got here at like 5 at night. It was Get Tom, the whole hashtag, Get Tom, because you needed Tom Cruise. You thought you needed Tom Cruise in this documentary, Winning Racing Life of Paul Newman. Did you get Tom Cruise?
No, we got...
That's Adam Carrolla. It's been Mohr Stories.
We got a bunch of really good archival footage of him driving, him hanging with Newman, interviews. He drove with Newman's team for 2 years. He drove...
It's in the way that you use it. Color of Money song?
Yeah, well, that's where he met him.
Tom, I'm a little fascinated by this scenario. So you did not get Tom Cruise for the documentary. I'm guessing because of the largesse of the empire that is, I'm not joking, that is the Adam Carrolla digital empire, that you certainly were able to be put in touch with the people that you were supposed to be put in touch with.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't take a whole bunch of people on Twitter.
No.
Like, you could call somebody to call somebody, and then suddenly Adam Carrolla is speaking with, like, Paula or, like, one of Tom's people.
Mm-hmm.
Did it ever get that? Were you ever that close to the teepee?
You know, the thing about the cruises of the world is there's so many filters you got to get through before you get to them.
That's what I'm asking, is how far through the filter did you get?
I don't know. It started with me, Jimmy Kimmel, and John Krasinski sitting at a really good restaurant after doing Jimmy's show, I think with John Krasinski as the guest and me as the guest, about 2 years ago, and me going, man, I'd love to get Cruise for this Newman doc. Part of it is, I know this sounds stupid, but what I mean is this documentary is the definitive, archival, permanent, on-the-record film document about Paul Newman and his 35-year driving career, his 4 national championships. It is superbly made. I didn't shoot it. It was just my idea. I did a lot of the legwork. I'm not taking credit for how good this film looks and how well it came out. But if you go to Amazon or anything, it's like 5 stars. All the way down.
Winning,
everything.
Racing Life of Paul Newman. Everybody go get it.
It is a great film. I've done a lot of things. I'm proudest of this. If somebody,
more than The Hammer?
If somebody said...
I love me The Hammer, dude.
The Hammer's good. But I will tell you this. If somebody said, look, you have to offer up one thing. It can't be this and The Hammer or the book and The Hammer or The Man Show and the doc or whatever. You just have to... There's a board of scrutineers.
As Barry Katz would go, if everything you've ever done is sinking in the ocean and you can only save one thing, man. What's the one thing you save out of the ocean with your hands?
Yes, Barry. I would put it this way. If somebody said, I'm going to drown you in the ocean unless you can show me something that blows me away creatively.
That's the Paul Newman documentary.
I like The Hammer. I like Road Hard. I like some of the books, but I wouldn't take a chance. I'd give them the Paul Newman doc and sleep like a fucking baby.
Nice.
That night.
Dry, not wet. Like a kid coming out of a
dry
pub.
baby. That's how people... That's people's reaction to this.
How close did you come to getting Tom Cruise?
I have no idea.
How do you not know? You know.
We got hold of his people, and first they were in. Well, first John Krasinski said, I went go-karting with him last night.
What?
And I said...
Who lives like this?
That's what I said. And he said, it was his birthday. You want to go go-karting? And I said, perfect.
He was like, I'll call that guy from the office.
From the office. And I said... I
can do a great Tom Cruise, but it's only a visual.
Okay. So he said, call him from the office. Yeah, call him. And he's like, yeah. And then, 6 emails, and 4 months later, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he is. So, look.
Were you ever in touch with, let's say, like Tom's agent, his actual agent?
We talked to his publicist, and they were like, we'll get back to you, or we'll tell you schedule. Whatever it was. We wanted 2 guys. We wanted him and Letterman, because Letterman owns an indie team, co-owns an indie team, Ray Hall. Newman, Ray Hall, Letterman, as in Bobby Ray Hall. Graham Ray Hall, the son, used to race for Newman Haas Racing that won 8 Indy championships. So Newman Haas won a ton, 108 races. That was Paul Haas, Paul Newman. God, I got to think, was Haas's first name Paul too? Anyway.
Haas from Bonanza.
Haas was the guy's last name. Newman Haas Racing, and Graham Rahal drove for them as a rookie, along with Mario Andretti, who's in the movie, and a bunch of people like that. So I, of course, wanted Letterman to weigh in on it as an indie guy. And, of course, the rest of the stuff was...
How close did you get to getting Dave?
Carl Haas, yeah.
How close did you get to getting Dave?
Who
was closer, Dave or Tom?
Dave, we just got an immediate no.
Oh, that's, you know what? I respect the immediate no.
Just nothing.
That's like a Larry David bit. I respect the immediate no.
Yeah. Nothing he had to contribute.
Pretty quick no.
Pretty quick no.
We got to respect it.
Nothing to contribute. Although he owns the Volvo wagon with the V8 in it that Newman sort of gave him and drove it with the
Like you
cars
said,
and coffee with Seinfeld. So
with the, I'm
was co-owner in an Indy
and
team.
his guy won the Indy 500.
And Graham Rahal is his Graham Rahal's his driver.
His first year
and Bobby
co-owning the
Rahal,
team.
yeah.
His guy won the Indy 500, didn't he?
No. Oh,
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, he
he
did. But the point is
I remember him drinking the milk and
Well, there are two celebrities on the planet who co-owned an Indy team. One of them is Paul Newman, and the other is David Letterman.
I'm a little obsessed with the cruise thing, and the reason I
go ahead.
keep beating this horse that's not dead, it's alive, is that a guy like Tom Cruise, is so famous, and everybody, he's so self-aware, he's got to know everybody thinks he's batshit crazy. So, I don't know why I said that, like walking, everybody knows he's batshit crazy. Sorry. They slip out. That for Tom to grab regularness, the perfect place would be to pop up, just be in a denim shirt and jeans, and just be in this Adam Carrolla documentary about a guy that he really likes in Newman, and people be like, he's not going to come across poorly.
Well,
he needs to do an independent movie here and there, not Tropic Thunder with hair all over the fucking place and being like a schnorr. He needs to be in these little movies here and there. Well, I don't know. I think that documentary would have been that's how I would have brought it to him. Do you want to be fucking normal, or do you want to be the guy that jumped on Oprah's couch?
I would couch it this way, pardon the pun. This is going to... Well, first off, he met... Newman and he hung out during Color Money. Yeah. Then Newman would go to these little dirt tracks in town, after they filmed and Blow Off Steam. Then he brought Cruise with him. Then he brought Cruise with him to get him onto his Newman Sharp, which was his road racing team. And Nissan sponsored him and put him in a factory stock car, which kind of lower division car. And they let him... race, and he raced with Newman.
My dad raced with Tom Cruise at Watkins Glen a couple times.
There you go.
At SCCA Racing.
What was your father driving?
Spec racers. I don't know the specifics. I could call him and ask him, but it'd probably slow the conversation down. But it was number 37 on the car, and that's why 37's always been my number, and I used to always walk tracks, Bridgehampton with my dad and stuff.
Bridgehampton. Well, see, there's Newman. They're racing throughout the whole place.
We were doing Jerry Maguire, and my dad said... Ask Tom Cruise, at Watkins Glen, he crashed into that bale of hay at turn 2.
Right.
Ask him what gear he was in at turn 2 at Watkins Glen. And my dad was kind of joking. And my whole thing was I'm going to blow my dad's mind.
Right.
I'm going to actually ask him and get an answer. So I asked Tom, second day on the set over at Sony. And he's like, I don't remember. It was either, if I crashed, I was most likely in a lower gear with the revolutions per minute, probably second gear, And he gives me this answer. I go back, I tell my dad, and my dad goes, I thought so. I remember that was a pretty violent spin out he had into that turn. Anyway, fast forward 2 months.
Was it the Bowl? Was it called the Bowl?
I don't recall.
Anyway,
it was this is at Watkins Glen.
2
months, 1 month later, we're at Sun Devil Stadium in Arizona, Tempe, Arizona, filming all the football stuff for Jerry Maguire. And I'm standing in the tunnel. Tom's on the other side of the field. He's filming something. I'm not. They're going to switch the lights out. It takes an hour.
Sure, set it up.
And all of a sudden I hear, JJ, hey, Jay. I look up. Fucking Tom Cruise is jogging towards me. And I'm like, is there a fire? This is crazy. This is an image that'll never leave my head. And then he goes, hey, how you doing? I go, good. You okay? He goes, yeah, listen. Ask your dad, what gear was he in? Because he never crashed.
Right.
And I was like, you fucking...
I didn't
say anything at the time.
Right.
But in my mind is going, how does it... But that's the kind of uber presence that Tom brings to the table, that he actually would listen and remember it a month later. So I'm very surprised that he's allowed that much of a wall to go up where he doesn't get the data. Adam Carrolla, super cool dude, known as the all-time blue-collar working man, wants you to just sit in a James Purse T-shirt and go, well, when I met Paul, boom, you're in. You're normal again.
Well,
no more Oprah couch.
Couple things.
Why am I yelling?
The movie early on in the movie, Mario Andretti is explaining that he was driving a Can-Am car called the Honker at Bridgehampton. And he came out one morning and Paul Newman's name was on the front of the car, which he sponsored. And then he said he got Paul to climb in the car with him, and he was excited by seeing all the gadgets inside the car. And then he took him for a few laps at Bridgehampton, and he said Bridgehampton is blind corners, a lot of elevation change. Yeah. I've never been to Bridgehampton.
Oh, it goes up, yeah.
And he said he was white knuckling it, and he said, I think that actually captured his imagination. I think from that point on, he was in. So it was at Bridgehampton many years ago that he was bit by the racing bug with Mario Andretti driving back in the 60s, back when some of your dad's stomping grounds.
Why do you feel the need to make a documentary about Paul Newman's racing career? Like, is it just this?
Because I have 6.5 of his former race cars. And
okay. Same question. Why do you have 6.5 of his former race cars? And we'll keep walking it back.
Because I like cars.
Okay.
I like old race cars. I like to race old race cars. I've always liked Datsuns, and then
old
Nissan.
School, pre-Nissan, yeah.
And Newman started in Datsuns.
Half the audience of you and me don't know what a Datsun
Nissans,
is.
And he started racing in Datsuns and turned into Nissans. And he raced Datsuns all the way through his career, basically, until he raced everything, but basically Nissan was his.
But you could have made a documentary about Larry Holmes, Easton Assassin, anything. I know boxing is a passion.
A lot of people have done a lot of documentaries about a lot of boxers. You know, this was like. Here's Paul Newman.
It is very singular.
Icon.
Only racing.
Only about racing.
Yeah.
It's only his driving. Well, it goes in a million different directions with him and his sort of civil rights stuff. I
want you to win an award, and I want your acceptance speech to be, we did not need Tom Cruise to make this movie.
Nor did we need David Letterman. But to answer your question, Tom Cruise I think the answer is just no. No matter what, you're coming at him. Also, he wants to own everything. Number two, he thinks you're trying to profit off his name. Imagine how many people fucking come at him every day.
But he winds up in Tropic Thunder or whatever, and he's got to go in prosthetics and look like an old Jewish guy.
Here's the deal.
Okay.
I wanted Tom Cruise and David Letterman to be in this movie for them. Because when they see it, they're going to sit there and watch it and go, fuck, I wish I was in this. Because
I feel that way about
it's a time capsule piece of Paul Newman's racing career.
Paul Provenza, Penn Jillette, fucking 4 months in a row, wouldn't stop. You got to be in this movie, The Aristocrats.
Right.
I said, I don't get it.
Right.
So he's about this joke. I'm like, how do you do a whole movie about a joke?
Right.
And I'm like, we're going to come talk to you. Penn, Paul Provenza.
Right.
Both guys came at me from different sides.
Right.
Several times. And I'm like, I can't help you. I'm sorry. And I watched The Aristocrats movie, and I'm like, I am a fucking moron. This movie's so great.
And you
the only
would have been
solace I could have taken,
captured.
The only solace I can take is the movie's so perfect. There's nothing I could have added that would have made it any better.
Well, you would have been a part of this.
A part of it, sure. But it wasn't like, and me there would have totally taken it up that one little notch. They did it perfect.
It's the same with Letterman and Cruise. Like, this movie's not missing a thing. It doesn't need them at all. When you're gone and your 4-year-old has a Blu-ray, you won't be on it if it says The Aristocrats. And when Letterman's gone, or I'm gone, or Cruise is gone, or when everyone's gone, there's going to be this thing left behind, and their voices won't be heard in this definitive thing that's left behind. And a guy like, the hell did I say his name was? I wrote down that bridge. From Pixar, John Lasseter. Lasseter understood, wait a minute, if this is going to be the definitive thing, I want to be heard on this thing. Because I want generations from now, I want them to hear my voice and see my likeness.
The president, the guy in charge of all Pixar stuff, you think,
It's amazing, like, levels of whether or not you're sated.
Right.
Like, he's in charge of Pixar.
Right.
And he's like, no, I'm going to fly myself to be in your documentary about Paul Newman.
He flew us all out there.
Where is it?
Pixar's in Emeryville, California.
Emeryville? North?
It's about a half hour out of San Francisco, 45 minutes out of San Francisco.
Use the Amazon banner at jmohr.com. Like Jennifer in Cincinnati, a.k.a. on Twitter, Oxy Jen. Love to you and your family, JJ. Clicked on the Amazon banner at jmohr.com, and I did order Spanx kitchen utensils and shaving stuff for my husband Paul's razor.
That's
Can't get him to join. Man. The Dollar Shave Club. Well, he doesn't have to. Much love to you. Prayers to your family. Prayers to Uncle Dan. Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. Now, you, my friend, in your book, Daddy Stop Talking, is that a common refrain in your household?
Something my daughter came up with. And is repeated many times, yes.
Daddy Stop Talking.
Daddy Stop Talking.
But you're not like a chat. Like, I can't stop talking. Like, I have an actual problem. Whereas you... When I see you away from here, in green rooms, dressing rooms, beneath the Wiltern Theater, you are able to simply sit and observe, where I have this almost OCD-like constant commentary, like I get uncomfortable with the pauses. It wasn't until I met my wife where I was actually able to, like, be more like you, a guy that can observe and sort of dial it back. So the way I am now, imagine that times 10. Pre Nicole Avery Cox.
Right.
So me, Daddy Stop Talking, I can see. I don't really see you as a guy that goes home and bumps his gums to the point where, like, a child goes, Daddy, stop talking.
Well, you know, it's weird. I'm almost like reptilian in my speech patterns. And when I say that, I mean, like you'll see, like, an alligator. And the alligator just be, like, floating there, like almost like a log. And you'll be like, it's dead, right? It's not doing anything, and you could, like, poke it with a mop handle, and it just wouldn't be doing anything, and it wouldn't be doing anything for a long period of time, and then all of a sudden it would be doing something, like eating you. But you don't see alligators jogging. You know what I mean? They're not moving at all, or they're fucking, like, just on top of that gazelle that's waiting in the water, the banks of the river, right?
I need to see a cartoon of an alligator jogging.
It's never been done.
Out for a little jog with little tiny legs?
There's two things. Cockroaches and alligators do not jog. They have no
cockroaches
movement.
Sprint.
They have sprint.
Anaerobic energy.
And or zero.
Yeah.
Just no movement at all. Alligators, I'm that way with talking. So I'll just sit home and just be like, and I'll get, hey, well, come on, chime in. What's going on? You know, I'll just be sitting there listening. Then it's stand up, going 20-minute diatribe, and then sit silently again. Yeah, I don't pepper it in.
Yeah, I'm a pepperer.
I'm salt. I just rain.
Once I was quoting Platoon alone downstairs, and I hear from upstairs, what? And I go, well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads. And my wife goes, what? I go, well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads. And then she comes all the way downstairs, and she goes, I'm sorry, I can't hear you, or I'm not sure what you're saying. And I go, well, I'd like to hear about, like, I'm looking in her eyes. I go, well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads. And she goes, I don't know what you mean. And I go, it's Tom Berenger from Platoon.
Right.
And she goes, I don't know. I think she actually said, I'm not really sure what's happening right now.
Wow.
And I go, I'm just doing a line from the movie Platoon. Mm-hmm. And she goes, well, I didn't know that we were doing. I go, no, I was just doing it.
Right.
And she said, oh, so it's not like I need to participate. I go, no. And she actually goes, so if I was not home, just so I know moving forward in a relationship, would you be saying this with 0 people in the house? And I said, yeah. And she goes, okay. And it was the first time I realized that's not normal.
Yeah.
To walk around the house going, you talking to me? Huh?
Well, if I could do impressions like you, I think I would. My thing is I feel like I got 0 wisdom from my dad and mom. 0 wisdom.
Now, when your parents hear this, do they ever give you shit back, or do they just enjoy the S500 Mercedes in the driveway?
They never hear it.
Oh, so they've stayed completely...
No, they're walking the walk. I mean, they're who they are.
Right.
I can say whatever I want about them.
They've just stayed, dialed out.
They were never in.
Right. I'm saying they stayed never in.
Yeah,
They didn't go like, hey, our son's a huge star.
Now we're going to change gears.
So they don't read your book and go, I never knew Adam felt that way about
They
me.
never came around 360.
Bro, I turned 360 degrees, bro.
No.
That's a huge human over there.
No, they did not. They've been... Well, the one thing you can say about them is my success never changed them. They were out when I was cleaning carpets, and they're out when I was doing the man show, and they're out when I was doing a road
not a vested interest on how's Adam feeling today.
They don't wish any harm upon me.
No, that's not. Of course not.
They don't. They love me. I'm in a way that only they're capable of.
Now in school, did they go to like your football games?
No,
nothing. My parents never missed a wrestling match. Ever. No matter what town, 7 a.m. in like Boonton, New Jersey, they'd be there.
Well, I'm guessing that's why maybe a 19-year-old Jay Mohr was doing stand-up and a 19-year-old Adam Carrolla was cleaning carpets.
Or you could flip-flop it, because if you didn't get attention, you need to go out to get the attention.
I was sufficiently broken. Like, I wasn't. I didn't need attention. I needed, like,
So you got that giant hole. You needed to fill the hole, like all comics that are, they say, like, oh, comics are also depressed. You don't wake up depressed. You're not a depressed guy, are you?
I'm not. No,
I don't know. Like, the people I hang out with aren't really depressed, but yet the nation thinks, like, when you go on the road and do morning radio, they're like, well, comics are always depressed. What's going on with you guys?
Well, first off, if misery translated into a wonderful sense of humor, then the entire continent of Africa would be on the fucking dais when the roast came around, I mean, Middle East.
What else can I say about Mr. David Hasselhoff?
Right? No, the whole world is miserable. No one's funny. I mean, everyone...
I did not recognize you without Kit.
Everyone in the Middle East, everyone in Africa, everyone in China, everyone's miserable. There's not a whole bunch of comedians coming out of that region. So fuck that. That's stupid. You got to be miserable. Listen, Jay Mohr.
I know happy comics. You're happy.
I'm not happy or sad. I just am.
But you don't wake up and feel doom like people think comics.
Mm-mm.
No.
Well, listen.
Life is good.
Yeah, I just get along. I'm just interested in getting along. Like I'm not really
get it on.
Get it on.
The Adam Carrolla podcast.
No,
get it on.
Here's what I am. I'm a gearhead who likes to build and who is wanting to get in my Paul Newman race car and go to Fontana this weekend and race. That's all I want to do.
That's a big oval, dude.
It is. You get off the oval and you come and do the road course.
Okay, I was going to say, I pictured you more of a road course guy. I didn't know there's a road course out there. Part of my ignorance.
You do the whole front straight.
I'm an NASCAR guy.
You do the whole bank, the whole first bank. You do the whole front straight. You do the whole first bank. And then when you're done, about 300 yards after you're done with a huge bank, you step in and you do the stuff on the infield.
Oh, okay.
And then you hop back out again. It's kind of like Daytona when they do the like Rolex 24-hour Daytona.
You doing that this
whatever.
weekend?
Yeah. Driving his Camaro. Actually, I've never driven it before.
So where do you go to buy Paul Newman cars? Like, this is such a tiny, narrow niche.
Yeah, well,
some people like cars and Paul Newman movies. You're like, I want to race cars that Paul Newman actually, his balls and asshole were in before me.
Oh, I got pictures
of Paul Newman's balls and asshole.
I think of, goddamn, Gary's got to go to my phone, or Gary's got to ask.
Gary!
Chris.
Bring it over,
Chris
you
Maxapata.
animal!
People sent me, I'll get it from Maxapata or whoever, but people sent me a picture of him at, I don't know, Watkins Glen or Pocono. I can't remember where those pictures were from, but driving the Camaro that I'm going to be driving this weekend. Your dad would probably
My dad would go nuts.
Get a kick out of it.
Can Gary email me the photos?
Yeah.
And I'll send it over to John Woodmore. You're talking about your parents being dialed out? My dad, when I was a kid, not a very, not like a straightforward, I love you guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I've gotten older, he's gotten way more affectionate. Like, almost each year, he gets more affectionate and more relaxed with that affection.
Right.
The podcast, more than TV, more than movies, him going to, like,
Bally's Gym in like Clifton, New Jersey, with his earbuds in, listening to the podcast, he will call or send me like the most heartwarming, beautiful emails with like a recap of the pod. Like I just had Graham Nash on, and he's like, I immediately went out and rebought Deja Vu and downloaded it.
Wow.
You know, that's son. That like this is the guy when I was growing up. I'd go in the basement and I would go through like old drawers in between like lifting weights, like in between sets, and I would find like 1956 World Series tickets, and I'm like, you're at the fucking World Series?
Right.
You're Mickey Mantle won the Triple Crown?
Right.
And he's like, yeah. Like what? I'm like, you didn't think that would interest me? And you know, and now the podcast, he's become like crazy, super great dialed in. Where like he goes out of his way to like drop emails saying, Graham Nash, Rich, like what a weird combination of guests. You're on a real run here, son.
Wow.
It's fascinating.
I'm jealous because my dad lives 7.5 miles from here in the other warehouse. It's a Paul Newman museum. Never been. And neither's my mom.
You want me to go knock him out?
Now, where's this picture from?
You want me to talk to your old man for you?
Please.
Hey, Mr. Carrolla.
Crystal,
this one's from Pocono.
Oh, from Pocono.
We're looking at,
and Jay
Pocono.
Mohr's, if you look in your email, you have all these pictures.
Thank you, brother. I'm going to send these along to my dad. That's his Camaro. Yeah. I got to send you a photo of my dad in his car, number 37. People are always like, why you pick 37? It's because when I was a kid, it was always on my dad's race car.
Yeah, he had...
Nobody fights you for the 37 in baseball practice.
Nobody fights you for Newman's 75 in this case.
Deacon Jones would, my friend.
See his head.
Deacon Jones would
so
fight
would Howie Long.
Deacon Jones, one of the few people ever on the Brady Bunch as himself. That's fame.
Oh.
Don Drysdale.
Joe
Davy
Namath,
Jones.
Davy Jones, and Deacon Jones.
Deacon Jones out there on that AstroTurf.
Well, he had the most famous quote in sports ever.
Which one?
When you go upside, man, old woman's head.
Yeah.
They tend to blink their eyes.
I like
the fact that we're only asking him how you got around weak side offensive tackles.
And you had to mix in slapping a chick.
Can we hear it? We got to hear it.
Atkins' threat of breaking arms was the reality of the Deacon Jones head slap.
The head slap was to do two purposes. One was to give myself an initial head start on the pass rush. In other words, an extra step. Because anytime you go upside a man's head or a woman, then they have a tendency to blink their eyes or close their eyes, and that was all I needed.
It's the greatest. Listen, wow. I was sitting at home.
Deacon was a good friend of mine,
This
too.
is my hypervigilance.
And I know his wife, Elizabeth, very well. She certainly was never head slapped, Elizabeth.
He's right-handed, so it would have been her left ear that's cauliflower.
No cauliflower ears in the Deacon home in the Anaheim Hills. There.
I was just sitting home in like 2000. Wow. I was like 2006, and I'm watching the NFL Network in 2006, maybe 2007, and I'm just like watching NFL Network at 2 a.m. on a Saturday night in my underpants.
Between mic'd up and NFL AM.
Right. And I'm just
Channel 212.
I'm on a marathon of Gruden's coach-up session or whatever.
Why the fuck? All right, we'll get to that in a minute.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm watching this, and it's like, I find when you go upside a man or a woman's head, and I'm like, or a woman. And it's insane because you're only talking about people in the NFL, and no woman has ever played offensive line in the NFL. And it was such an easy, you're interspersing it with archival footage from the game.
They easily could have taken it out.
It's the easiest cut in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I brought it up to everyone the next day on the radio show. And then everyone at the NFL Network, and everyone's like, he said that? And I'm like, that tape is from 1974.
You want to hear a Deacon Jones story that I think you'll enjoy?
They have since, I think, cut it out. But anyway.
It's too bad.
Yeah. You know what I chalk it up to, by the way?
What's that, sweetie?
All the assholes, and Jay's dad, who's on the elliptical right now, is nodding his head feverishly. When in 1975, 1976, we were fed a steady diet of this bullshit from all the chicks who dressed like Maude, which was this. Well, I think, all I want in the next president is I want him to be honest, and he should work, he or she And then you'd go, oh, yeah, okay, he or she. And then they'd go, I want my airline pilot, I want him to be brave, I want him to be smart. He or she. And you go, okay, yeah, right. He or she. It just kept getting fed. Like every time you went, like, the president, the airline pilot, right. I want an astronaut, I want him to be he or she. He or she. So I think what Deacon was doing there is like, anytime you go upside a man's and he heard in his head, like, he or she, or woman. Like
you think political correctness?
I think he's trying to be politically
got spun around 360 degrees.
I really think he... I think he was trying to be politically correct by going upside a woman's head.
How is Lamar Lundy not in the Hall of Fame? It's the fearsome foursome.
I don't know.
3 out of 4 guys are in the fucking Hall of Fame.
Merlin's in there, Rosie's in there.
And Deacon. And Lamar Lundy's just sitting there like, what the fuck do I have to do? There's 4 of us.
A woman's head, see what happens. Knock some sense in there.
I go to Deacon Jones' house. He's having a party, and we'll wrap it up on this, brother. Go buy Adam's book, Daddy Stop Talking. And buy Mangria and drink lots of it. And get the app of the Mohr Stories podcast and listen to Adam Carrolla's podcast and share with your friends that this is the way media is going. This is the good thing to do. His podcasting, you'll never mind rush hour traffic ever again. Mm-hmm. Deacon Jones giving away the Deacon Jones Foundation scholarship at his house. I get invited. And old school dudes are there, man. It's amazing.
Right.
There's old school, John Ollie, I think his name is. Somebody Ollie.
Oh yeah, Ollie. Shit. Yeah, I'll think of his name.
So
Ollie Madsen.
Yes, excuse me. Ollie Madsen. A whole bunch of old guys. Right?
More sports. Give me a little love here.
Nice job, buddy.
Thank you.
Ollie Madsen, who carried with him a bag, and they said, "Don't ask him what's in his bag." I said, "Why not?" They go, "He's got something. Just don't. He's got something in his head. Just don't ask him what's in his bag." I'm like, "Okay." And sure enough, the guy walks in. He's carrying this Crown Royal bag. And it's just don't fucking ask him about his bag, man. He goes crazy. He got a little, concussive stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Deacon Jones, he's outside. It's all Asian, young, 15-year-old Asian girls that got scholarships, inner city youths, and 10 kids got scholarships. But they are actually working as servers at this little get-together. So they're actually clearing your plate.
Mm-hmm.
So Deacon Jones is sitting there in dolphin shorts, short, way too short for a 6'6", fucking giant cocked black guy to be wearing. I don't know how that didn't flop out. And I noticed he's got scars on the inside of his thighs, bad. I go, Deacon, how'd you get those scars? He goes, Korea, J. Mohr. I don't like to talk about it. And I go, oof. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were in Korea. And before I can get Korea out, he goes, chink a minute. I killed me a motherfucking chink a minute.
Wow.
Meanwhile, there is a Korean girl, you finished with this?
Yeah.
Can I take this? Chink, I killed a motherfucking chink a minute, man. Chink, you go, hey, man, you go to the DMZ, to the parallel, and you stick your head out a motherfucking helicopter and say, chink a minute. Those motherfuckers say, Deacon Jones. They know me because I killed a motherfucking chink a minute. And now he's shouting. And these little Korean girls are like, would you like some soup? Right in front.
This
I go
is
in the
not
house.
the Deacon I know who would go upside a woman's head.
Chink a minute. I killed a motherfucking chink a minute Jones.
Wow.
Shit. He's getting nuts. Something unraveled in his brain. I go in the house, I'm helping this little Korean girl clear dishes because I'm kind of mortified, right?
Right.
His lovely wife, the lovely Miss Elizabeth, not Macho Man's, a separate one.
Mm-hmm.
She's in there in the kitchen. I go, Elizabeth, I'm so embarrassed. I didn't know Deacon was in Korea. And I brought it up, and he's losing his fucking mind out there. She goes, she's carrying this big platter of fruit. She goes, Deacon wasn't in fucking Korea.
Yeah.
I go back outside. He's standing up now going, I killed a motherfucking chicken minute, man.
Really?
He's yelling.
Korea
and she goes,
was 1950.
Deacon, sit down. And he goes, shit. And he just lights a Newport 100.
Lights a Newport.
Quiet.
Wow.
But maybe that was the NFL coming out. Yeah, game time, baby.
Well,
woman.
He'd say he has the record for sacks.
Man.
Invented the word sack.
Yes, he did. And he's got the most sacks in a single season, and the NFL fucked him on it. And he's got a plaque in his house given to him by the NFL and the NFL commissioner, Tagliabue, commemorating, I think it was 25 sacks.
Right.
And that was back in a 14-game season.
Right.
And they let Strahan get the record for fucking Brett Favre laying down in front of him like he told a dog to stay.
Yeah.
Favre
it's
laid down.
bullshit.
Favre took a dive, man.
No, I know, but if you look
his
at
gray
it,
pubes.
he didn't have anywhere to go. Like,
bro, he took a dive.
No,
he could have thrown the ball out of bounds.
He probably should have, could have, would have, but he didn't have anywhere to go. Like I know it was kind of he did take a dive, but he did also there wasn't.
He stood up and patted Michael Strahan on the rear.
Nah, I know.
Now it's on Michael and Kelly.
It's stupid.
Kelly and Michael.
I agree.
That's your sack leader, America.
All right.
He's on a morning show.
Come 3-6.